On this video, I will show you how to do the separation. If your generator and your grid is three-phase, you also have a three-phase appliance in the site, but the inverter is a single phase, which automatically means the inverter is not going to be powering everything because the inverter is already single phase and you have a three-phase appliance on that particular site. And obviously, their distribution board is going to be a three-phase distribution board. And on this case, we are not going to be doing an off-board or cross-board separation. So as usual, we'll have our changeover, and from our changeover, the three-phase will go to the distribution board, just like we had on the last video. Now we'll have our inverter as well over here. This is INV inverter. So from the distribution board, we're going to use one of the lines to supply the inverter. In this case, let's say we're using this particular line. Unlike the previous video where we will now take out this particular line, put it on the inverter and take it back from the inverter to that particular phase. We can't do that because we have three-phase appliance in that building, and that appliance will need the complete three-phase to work, so we can't disengage what is already here. That's why we are doing an off-board or cross-board. So you see, we are going to be crossing from this DB to this breaker box, which is now cross-board separation. So what we now need to do is to tap power from one of the lines here. So let's say we are tapping from this line, it goes to the inverter input. And don't forget, the neutral would as well go here. Do I need to draw it? Okay, let me just put the neutral here. And the neutral from this part also would also enter the inverter. Then we'll go over to, I think this is not showing where, Now we'll have our input on the inverter. And you remember what I mentioned on the last video, that since we are tapping power input from the inverter from one of the phases here, obviously we are going to be taking out some loads from this DB because this is what is already existing on the site when you came to install your inverter. And the inverter is to power some loads here. So we're going to be moving some loads from here to this place. However, the inverter also has battery that also needs to charge, which means the balancing that is already done on this electrical system will now disbalance because of the extra load, the extra power it will need to charge the battery. So you will need to rebalance it after you are done with your separation. I would make a video to explain how you do your balancing and how you know if the phases are balanced. We'll have a device for that, but that's a video for another day. So the inverter output will now have to go to this breaker box, the live and the neutral. So we'll have a neutral bar where the neutral will connect to. Then for the live, it will loop above all the breakers there. Then the output, now the loads are now moving out of this place, will now be crossing over to go into the outputs on the breakers on this breakers in the breaker bus. So this is how simple it is. It is not complicated at all. The only complicated part will now be to rebalance the load on this entire electrical wiring. But with the device, it is also very simple. I'll be making another video to explain that explicitly. So if you've not followed us, make sure you follow so you get to see the coming videos.